So you guys have been practicing drawing shapes using the letters from your name. This is Morgan. There's an M, O. I'm not sure where the R is. Maybe there. It's going that way. R, it's a lowercase. Anyway, you guys have been using the lines from the letters of your names to make shapes. So you've been making sure that those lines touch other lines. Now you're going to make a final piece of art with that. So what I want you to do this week is think about what art medium you want to use. Do you want to use paint? Some of you may have parents that have just craft paint around the house like this. This would be great. You could use craft paint. And one of the things I like to do on craft paint is if you have a paper bag, you can cut the paper bag out and paint on the inside of the paper bag if it has, you know, designs on it. So you could make the paper bag your paper. You have to think about, you know, the paper you're going to use. Some of you may not have drawing paper at home. So you could use a piece of copy paper. That's fine. You could use, if you have black construction paper, you could use black construction paper with a white crayon. Draw the lines with a white crayon or a piece of chalk. I love doing this project on black paper with colored chalk. You can just get a box of chalk at Walmart. It's pretty cheap. It has all different colors in it, and that is such a fun way on the black paper because the chalk colors just really pop off that black paper. So that's a fun option for you too, is chalk. You could use watercolor paint if you have watercolor paint pans at home. I suggest you, if you use watercolor paint, do your outline of black with a black crayon because that wax will act like a wall and it won't bleed like this if you paint wet on wet or wet next to wet. It won't bleed because the crayon kind of acts like a wall. It's wax resist. So you could use that. You could do markers. What I want you to think about, the size paper you choose is also important depending on the material you're going to use. If you use chalk or oil pastels or even markers, you can color areas pretty quick with those materials. So you might want to use a bigger paper. I think this is a 12 by 16 probably. If you're doing something a little smaller, if you want to do a smaller piece like this is 9 by 12, watercolor paint is great. If you have colored pencils at home, a lot of you have colored pencils at home. I would probably even do half size. I think this is probably 6 by or 4 by 6, but that would be perfect for colored pencils because colored pencils, you go pretty slow, and to make it neat, you want to use your colored pencil going in the same direction, and you want to color slowly. And so this is going to take you more time to fill each space in, so you're probably going to want a smaller picture, a smaller piece of paper to work from. So that's the first thing to be thinking about. What materials do you want to use and the size paper you're going to use. And if you want a white paper, a black paper, or brown paper, you could use the grocery store paper. Here's the kind of paper I don't want you to use. Do not use a notebook paper that has lines on it and holes. This is good art that we want for a school-wide project, guys. So, worst case scenario, you find a piece of copy paper that maybe has printing on one side, but it's blank on the other side. You can use that, all right? So, once you have found your paper, then you are doing your name. I'll do this one, and you're going to do your name. Actually, I'm going to do one a little bit bigger. I like to start with that black. I like to have that nice big black heavy outline. So you could use a black crayon, you could use a Sharpie. Of course, it depends on the material you're going to use. You could use black paint if you have black paint at home. I'm going to do this one with crayon because I think I'll paint this one in. So I'm going to actually do my husband's name today. His name is Scott, because a lot of students, for whatever reason, they have a hard time with letters like S and C. So I'm going to start up here with the S. Remember, the edge of your paper is like a line. So I'm going to make that first S all the way to the edge of my paper. So now I have two shapes. Remember, you can rotate your paper around Think about the shapes you're creating. So I have a nice curve here. Maybe I want another curve here since the letter C goes this way. Maybe I'll turn my paper this way and do my C here. So it's kind of like backwards, but that's okay. So there's my C, just because I like how this shape and this shape echo one another. And then there's an O next. So maybe I'll just do the O. I think it would be neat if the O was going off the paper and overlapping this shape here. So as you're working, you're thinking about movement, you're thinking about those lines. And now there's two T's. So that's great because now I'm going to have some contrasting lines to go with all these beautiful curves. And again, I can move my paper around. One thing you don't want to do is put it right through the middle. That would break the space up too evenly. It's not going to look good. Think about those diagonals. So I might do maybe a T coming here. I think I want to break this space up a little bit here like this. But I'm going to stop here. I don't want it to go all the way down because that would be a really tiny shape right there. And then I'll cross it just like that. But I'm going to stop there. And then the other T, maybe it needs to go from here and then maybe across. And I think I'll continue it. I think I'll continue it all the way across there. So now I have some nice shapes. This one is a little big for me, so I'm going to use another letter. His middle initial is A, so I'm just going to put an A right here like that. And that kind of helped to break that space up for me, so I like that. And now I'm ready to color it in. Double check all your lines are touching other lines. I went all the way to the edge of my paper. I've got nice solid dark black lines. And now I'm ready to color in. So I'm going to use markers. And when you guys color it in with whatever medium you're using, whether it's paint, markers, colored pencils, just go neat. Think about balancing your colors. So if I put purple here, I don't want all my purple shapes in the same place. I'm going all the same direction as I color. And then maybe I'll put a purple, maybe this shape here will be purple too, because I want those colors to be balanced out and making a interesting composition that leads my eye. You could even decide, maybe you just make one color, like this bright pink. Here are my markers here. Maybe this bright pink is my focal point, and I just put it in one spot here and maybe over here, and that's where my eye just bounces back between those two colors. And then all the other colors maybe are all, maybe they're all cool colors. Purples, greens, blues, and then that maybe a couple, warm colors to lead your eye. So you guys think about that and how you use color to move your eye through your piece. And have fun doing this. I can't wait to see all of them. Don't forget to photograph it. And when you photograph it, make sure it's straight, it fills the frame, take a nice photo, and then you're going to email it to Mrs. Woodford at her Bend account for the school, and then also to me. We both would like a copy, Mrs. Williams, at our school account. Don't take it with your picture slanted like this. Make sure that camera is coming straight down on it. All right, I'm excited to see what happens with all of these and how it gets put together in our video. Please finish your artwork before Thanksgiving because we're going to put the video together during Thanksgiving break. So if you have not emailed it to us before then, it probably won't show up in the video. All right, have fun creating this, artists.